Tout le monde sait
Does everyone know
qui est Pestalozzi,
who is Pestalozzi?
Maria Montessori?
Maria Montessori?
Non,
No,
pas du tout.
not at all.
Bon, moi je dirais très
Very
bien.
well.
Comme ça, vous avez
Then you'll have some books to read.
à lire. Quand?
When?
Quand? Pas pendant les
Not
vacances.
during your holidays.
Non, non.
No,
Après.
after the holidays.
Bon, voilà. Pestalozzi,
So, Pestalozzi, 1746,
né à Zurich.
born in Zurich.
Dans ces années-là, on
During
venait
those
ensuite
years,
pour voir
people came to
Pestalozzi.
Switzerland to see Pestalozzi.
On le définissait
A certain Friedrich Moritz Hill defined him as
pédagogue de
the
l'intuition.
teacher of intuition.
Maria Montessori,
Maria Montessori, 100 years later, in 1870, the first female doctor in Italy,
qui travaillera après
who later worked as a teacher, starting with mentally retarded children,
retardés mentaux ou bien
or decreed so.
décrété
Yes, I said decreed.
de ces enfants que-
That kind of child, about whom you say sometimes, between neighbors, he'll never be able to study.
Pourquoi ces deux ensemble?
So why these two names together? And why the idea
Génie
of
de
the
la-
genius of intuition?
Parce que les deux,
Because both of them,
et surtout
and especially Pestalozzi,
ont donné
gave a
une
primary importance to intuition,
primordiale à l'intuition.
intuition of the
l'enfant
children to learn.
pour apprendre,
You must be
il
careful.
faut faire attention, et
And intuition of the
de la part
master
du
when he
maître
teaches.
quand il enseigne. L'enfant, au fond, l'enseignement pour Pestalozzi,
Regarding the child, the very heart of teaching for Pestalozzi and Montessori is a simple and natural development.
naturel.
For example,
la nature.
nature.
Les saisons,
The seasons happen,
avec un peu de
sometimes
retard,
delayed,
un peu tard,
sometimes early,
mais les saisons,
but the seasons happen.
on peut pas
We
avoir
can't grow
de
tomatoes, well, normally not, in February.
au mois de février. Or, avec
Now, with a
l'enfant,
child,
il
we
faut
have to go at his own
aller à
pace.
son rythme. Il faut
We have to
l'accompagner.
accompany him,
Il faut
to
l'aider.
guide him.
Le maître doit
The
avoir
master
une
must have a
attitude
respectful
respectueuse.
attitude.
Ça vient et de
That
Pestalozzi
comes
et de
both from
Maria Montessori.
Pestalozzi and Maria Montessori.
Pas besoin de
No
discours,
need for
pas besoin de
speeches,
théorie,
no need for
parce que le
theory,
maître est là.
because the master is there. Pestalozzi, Maria Montessori followed their pupils.
Dans l'enseignement,
In
il faut que
education,
l'enseignant,
the teacher must combine the two poles,
un peu
a bit maternal,
maternel,
a bit paternal.
Si c'est le
A male
professeur,
teacher must have the maternal side,
c'est
a female teacher the paternal one.
côté paternel. Je vous lis encore quelque
Let me
chose.
read you something else.
L'élève
The
doit
pupil
avoir
must have the
l'impression
impression
qu'il
that
a
he's
été
been
reçu
welcomed when he comes to
quand il
see
vient vous
you,
voir, quand il vous
when he
parle.
speaks to you.
Le respect
The
des
respect
valeurs
of the
de
other
l'autre
person's values is, as we know,
est
an act of
d'amour.
love.
Tout ce que je
In
vous ai
all
lu,
that I've just read to you,
moi, j'ai
I have
changé
changed the
le
word
mot
doctor
médecin au
or health
professionnel de
professional
la santé par maître.
to master.
J'ai changé
I've
le
changed
mot
the word
patient
patient
par élève.
to pupil.
Vous aurez peut-être entendu
You may have
dire,
heard sometimes someone say, the Montessori school, it's the school where children can do what they want.
Pas du tout, hein.
Not at all.
C'est
It's
le
self-respect.
respect du choix. Et même un
And
collègue,
even a colleague who's a teacher
enseignant, me disait,
once said to me,
moi, j'ai vu dans une
oh yeah,
école,
I saw in a Montessori school 3 or 4 children who were learning French with a teacher.
travailler avec la maîtresse pour faire du français, d'autres qu'on suivait, puis un tout seul,
And then another one, all on his own,
il était en
who was
train
enjoying himself.
de s'amuser. Il avait déjà
He'd already
dessiné,
drawn this,
facile, plus ou moins en carré,
a square more or less,
et il était
and he was
pris
so
chez lui.
immersed in it
Et la maîtresse
that the
l'a
teacher
laissé
left him
là
alone
pendant
for a
très
very long
longtemps.
time.
Qu'est-ce qu'il voulait faire?
What did he want to do?
Après ça,
After that, he
il
tried
essayait un rectangle,
to draw a rectangle, a triangle,
un triangle. Et
and then,
avec
with what he
ce
had
qu'il
at
avait en
hand,
main, et comme
and
pour
since in the Montessori
les enfants
method,
travaillent à la
children work in the
campagne
fields to get skills,
pour avoir de l'habilité, eh bien, à cet
that
enfant,
child had
lui
been
avait dit, il avait
told,
entendu
he had heard,
que tout,
that
tout,
everything that
tout
exists
a
has
des côtés.
sides.
Alors, l'enfant
So the child was desperately looking to understand how there could be sides in this circle here.
pouvait y avoir des côtés ici. Et la maîtresse
And the teacher let him discover by
Et voilà
himself.
un des secrets de Pestalozzi.
So this is one of the secrets of Pestalozzi and Maria Montessori,
D'attendre
to wait until
que
the
l'enfant
child discovers
découvre et
and
pose
asks
des
questions,
questions. Qu'il découvre, pose
that he
des
discovers
questions.
and asks questions.
Vous savez que Platon a dit,
You know that Plato
nous
said,
étions capables
if we were able to teach how to ask questions,
de poser des questions,
people would find the truth themselves.
trouveraient la vérité tout seul. L'intuition.
Intuition.
Le moment
When the time comes,
venu, il faut que
the teacher
le maître
must seize that opportunity
saisisse cette occasion
and
et
continue.
continuer. C'est le bon
It's the
moment,
right time, isn't it?
n'est-ce pas? Saisir
Seize the
l'occasion.
opportunity.
L'intuition
Intuition
nous dit,
tells
voilà,
us
c'est le bon
this is
moment.
the right time.
Qu'est-ce que
What
c'est?
is intuition?
Le verbe
The Latin
latin
verb
est le
is as
suivant.
follows.
Vous savez que les
As
mots
you may know,
d'une forme
this word comes from a Latin form called supinum.
tuer,
So the verb is tuer, tueris,
tuitus.
and tuitus.
Ce verbe
This verb
signifie-
means,
je vais vous
I'll tell you if by chance you want to look it up,
Si par hasard vous voulez aller le chercher. Voilà, tuer,
tuer,
tueris,
tueris,
tuitus,
and tuitus
porter
means
ses
to
regards
look at,
sur.
to watch
Regarder
attentively,
attentivement. Être
to be turned
tourné
towards,
vers. Avoir
to have
les
one's
yeux
eyes fixed on,
sur. Même
even
se
to represent
représenter par la
by
pensée.
thought.
Si avec ce verbe seul,
If you
tuer,
add to this verb
je mets une préposition,
the Latin preposition in,
in, qui donne intuition,
which gives
ça
intuition,
signifie alors
it then
porter
means
ses regards
to
à
look
l'intérieur,
within,
de constater que,
to see that, to keep an
avoir
eye on,
l'œil à, et même
and even
protéger.
to protect.
Alors voilà. Alors, qu'est-ce que c'est que l'intuition?
So what is intuition?
C'est quelque chose
Is it something that
qui me
just falls on
tombe
me by
dessus comme
chance?
ça. J'ai des
I have
élèves,
pupils, a
patients,
patient. It's the right time to tell him something that I wanted to tell him for a long time. This child, I can see that he finally wants to do something, so hop. Does it fall on me out of the blue? No. It's because during a long time, time long. Take your time. I have looked at him. I had my eyes on him. I was turned towards. I followed him. I protected him. And when the moment came, I knew him perfectly. A poet, not a pedagogue, the romantic Hölderlin said, "The master shapes his pupils like the ocean shapes the continents, by withdrawing when needed, and by intervening, thanks to intuition, when necessary." While I was preparing this talk some months ago, By chance, I put on the radio,
Et
and it was in Spain.
Il y avait l'interview.
They were interviewing a torero,
Et j'entends,
and I heard,
mais ça,
ah,
c'est l'intuition.
but that is intuition.
Au moment
The
où
very
je
moment I
parle,
put on the radio,
la
and someone
intuition,
said, yes, but intuition can be dangerous. And he replied,
d'abord,
yes, but
quand,
listen.
à quel moment?
Firstly, when? At what moment? And the torero said, at two precise moments.
Un,
First,
quand je,
when I want
je
the
veux
bull to stand still behind me
derrière moi, ne pas courir
without
devant
risk, to perform my little show in front of the
le
public.
public. Si vous avez vu
Perhaps you've
quelquefois
seen that, at least in films.
dans les films au moins, il y a
The
un
moment when the torero is in front of the bull, and the bull is there with 420, 450, 500 kilos, and the bull doesn't move. The torero has the intuition that the bull won't move, and he goes away just like this. And the bull doesn't attack him.
L'autre moment,
The other decisive moment
c'est le moment des stockages.
is the death blow.
Il dit,
He
je dois
says,
avoir
I must have the
l'intuition
intuition, be sure and precise,
qu'il ne bouge
that the
pas
bull will not move,
ce moment.
because we need this precise moment.
Oui, et le journaliste
And the
dit, oui,
journalist
mais
asked him, yes, but what about intuition?
il dit pratiquement,
Then he said virtually the same thing as Pestalozzi and Maria Montessori.
et Maria Montessori. Il l'a préparé
He's prepared this intuition for many years.
des années. Et dès
And as
que
soon
le
as the bull
taureau
gets in,
sort, il le regarde,
he looks
il
at him,
le il
scrutinizes him, judges
le
him,
juge, et
and he
il
knows
sait
how and when
comment
he can be
et à
sure.
quel moment il pourra être sûr. Ray Sugar Robinson,
Sugar Ray Robinson,
un
a
pédagogue.
pedagogue,
C'est un des plus grands
one of the
boxeurs
greatest middleweight
moyens.
boxers of all times.
Il était
He was so
tellement
gentle,
doux, champion
a
du
world
monde,
champion for many years, around 1950.
1950, voilà. Il était
He was
tellement
so
doux
sweet
et
and
pas violent
nonviolent
qu'on
that they
l'appelait
called him Sugar.
Eh bien, justement, parfois il devait,
And sometimes he had to,
c'est le moment d'intervenir.
when it's time to intervene, he said,
Je l'ai
I
étudié.
study him.
Il n'a jamais gagné.
He never won in the second or third round.
Je l'étudie,
I study,
et non
and not
seulement
only
j'ai
have I the
l'intuition
intuition
que je
that I can
peux
double my uppercuts
doubler mes
because he's tired,
parce qu'il est
because he can't
fatigué,
take anymore,
parce qu'il n'en peut
because
plus,
he's
parce qu'il est
demoralized,
démoralisé, mais il
but I am
accepte
certain that it's the right
que c'est le
time
moment
to do it.
d'intervenir. Dans l'enfer,
In the Inferno, Virgil,
le
the
grand
great
poète,
poet,
conduit
leads Dante for 3,
pendant 3,
4,
4,
5,
5,
6 hymns.
Il
He gives him
lui donne des
advice.
conseils. Il
He
lui
teaches him
enseigne des
things.
Il le
He scolds
gronde
him if
s'il le faut,
necessary.
à tel
So
point
much
que-
so that,
je le dis d'abord
I'll say
en
it first in
italien,
Italian,
si
if you
vous vous
Italians
souvenez
can
du
remember,
italien.
Virgil
l'appelle
calls him, Dante names Virgil,
Duca,
you duca,
tu
you maestro,
tu
you
signore.
signore.
Toi,
You who lead me, duca.
toi qui
You
m'enseignes,
who teach me,
maître,
master.
maestro, tu
You, signore.
Seigneur,
You,
qui
the
est prêt à
Lord,
intervenir
who is ready
et
to
à
intervene
s'imposer
and to impose yourself
et à me
and to
gronder
scold me if
si besoin.
necessary.
À un moment
At a
donné,
certain moment,
lorsque
when Virgil
Virgile
thinks
pense
that he's taught him
qu'il lui a
all
enseigné ce qu'il
that was
fallait,
needed,
que désormais
that from
il
now
peut
on
aller seul.
he can go alone,
Il lui a donné
he can
les
give him
conseils.
advice.
Alors il
Then
dit,
he
voilà,
says,
l'intuition.
Here's intuition.
C'est le moment
It's time to
de
leave.
partir. Mais ils ont traversé
But they've already
pratiquement
crossed
tout
almost
l'enfer.
all of hell.
Ce n'est pas venu tout de
It
suite.
didn't come at once. But Virgil sees
voit
that Dante
peut
can do
le
it.
faire. Et alors,
So he
il dit,
tells
c'est
him,
merveilleux,
it's
voilà.
marvelous. Just
Imaginez,
imagine.
imaginez. Maintenant,
Now
je
I
te
leave you.
Il fait une
And he
très,
makes a
très belle
beautiful metaphor. He says,
di ormai ti lascio pour gli italiani, ormai per te ti ciba. Maintenant je te laisse.
now I leave you. From now on, you can feed
Nourris-toi
yourself.
Nourris-toi
Feed
tout
yourself.
seul. Tu peux le
You
faire
can do
pendant
it now.
la
Go
vie,
ahead.
tout seul.
You're on your own.
Un des slogans
One of the
de
sayings of Maria Montessori is this:
est celui-ci.
the
L'enfant
child says to the adult,
à l'adulte,
to the
à
teacher,
l'enseignant, aide-moi
help me
à
to
être
be by
seul.
myself.
Maria Montessori dit aussi,
Maria Montessori also says,
doit
the good master
savoir
must know how to
s'élever
rise
au
to
niveau
the
de l'enfant.
level
Voilà,
of
j'aime
the
beaucoup
child.
sourire de cette
I
manière,
really like your
parce
smiles,
qu'une fois,
because once,
après
after a lesson like this one,
comme ceci, un
a man in the audience said to me, come here.
puis en faisant bien attention,
And being careful that no one would hear, he said,
dit, mais vous
but
êtes-
you're mistaken.
vous
Didn't
n'avez
you
pas
mean
dit
to
qu'il
say
faut
you must lower
s'abaisser.
yourself to the level of the child? I replied, no. Maria Montessori said one must rise to the level of the child.
Apprendre.
Apprendre, to learn.
Il y a le mot prendre.
In apprendre, there is the word take, in French, prendre.
Prendre. Et il y a le
And there is the a,
avec le
with a
dédoublement
duplication that is always made.
qui se fait toujours. Ce
This
a,
a
c'est une
is a
préposition.
preposition.
Il y en avait deux en latin.
There were two in Latin.
Une est
One is ab,
ab, l'autre
the other
est ad.
ad.
Au Moyen Âge,
In the
on
Middle
va
Ages,
encore
we still had apprendere
apprendre.
and apprendere.
Vous savez,
Ab, as you know,
venant
means
de-
coming from. Ad
ad, c'est
means going
allant
towards.
vers. L'exemple
For example,
d'administration,
the administration.
c'est celle
It's
qui
that
organise.
which goes towards you.
Or voilà pour apprendre.
So now, in order to learn take,
Ouais. Prendre.
prendre in French, I'm the pupil, you can see.
Je dois prendre
I
de
must
l'eau
take some
et le
water,
maître
and the
m'a donné
master has
cette eau.
given me this water.
Maintenant, moi je suis comme ça.
Now I'm like this.
Et pour que
And
je
in
puisse
order that I
prendre
can
l'eau,
take
le
water,
maître doit
the
faire
master
quelque
must do
chose.
something.
Lui,
He can,
mais voilà,
but you see,
voilà, il me donne
now he
quelque
gives me
chose.
something,
Pour moi, c'est
and for me it's
difficile.
difficult to take.
Prendre.
Prendre de,
pour le
or take
donner
from,
vers moi.
in order to bring it towards me.
Ou alors,
Or,
façon
there's the way of
de
taking.
prendre. Garde ça.
Keep this.
Voilà.
Okay.
Donc, ça, c'est la façon.
That's the way
Il y
to
a
do
le
it.
temps.
There's time.
Je dois prendre
I
cette
must
eau
take
parce
this
que je dois
water
m'hydrater.
because I need to rehydrate myself.
Pas eu le temps.
I didn't have time.
Pas eu le temps.
I didn't have
Faire
time.
attention, quelquefois, l'enfant.
One must be careful. Sometimes the child or the patient wants to serve himself.
Alors, moi,
This I know.
l'ablatif absolu,
The
je l'ai
absolute
appris dans ce
ablative
livre,
I learned from this book. I know absolutely everything.
Une autre façon
Another way of learning.
d'apprendre. Alors, voyons, cherchons
Let's see the right distance
la distance voulue, la
and the
manière
manner needed.
et
Montessori used to do all these.
Alors voilà,
Therefore,
je veux
I want to
apprendre
learn the distance,
la
the
distance,
healthcare provider and the patient.
le soignant et le patient. Bon. C'est une bonne
Is it a good
distance.
distance?
C'est une bonne
A good way to do
façon.
it.
Voilà, moi. Mon médecin
My doctor is not yet completely at the right level,
à la hauteur encore. Hein? Et moi, je
and I
dois
must
me
adjust
relever.
myself.
Voilà. Au
There we
moment
are.
où
The moment I learn
à ce moment,
what I
ce
took
que
and
j'ai
learnt,
appris va me servir.
this will help me.
Ce que j'ai
What I took
pris
on my head
sur la
will not
tête, ça
serve.
ne va pas me servir. Qu'est-ce que je
What
veux
else
dire?
can I tell you?
n'avez rien à vous
I have nothing to teach you, actually.
parce que c'est quelque
This is
chose
something that I know,
que j'ai appris comme
that I learned like that,
simplement.
after 35 years of teaching.
Si ça peut
If that can
faire-
help someone, all the better.
Et merci.
Thank you.